Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the first week of November. We didn't have a City Council meeting this week, but we had a slightly more interesting event. You may have heard there was an election. This year, there were 3 questions on the ballot for Bloomington voters to decide. 2 of them related to organized collection of trash and recycling, and 1 related to ranked choice voting. Regarding organized collection, voters approved question 1, 54% to 45%, amending the city charter so that residents could have a say on whether the city could organize the hauling of trash and recycling. The second question on the ballot then asked residents if they wanted to continue with the current organized hauling system. The outcome for organized collection was absolutely clear. On question 2, Bloomington residents overwhelmingly favored keeping the current form of city organized hauling of trash and recycling, with more than 70% saying they didn't want to change how things are done now. That wasn't a surprise to us. Our recent residents survey showed that 80% of residents were pleased with their garbage service, and that percentages, they were even higher for the recycling and yard waste services. So, if you're wondering what all of this means, it means that you should keep rolling your cans out to the curb. Waste hauling will continue as it is today. On the third question, residents were asked if the city's charter should be amended to elect the mayor and city council members by the ranked choice voting method. This was much closer, and as I record this, the outcome is not yet certain. Ballot questions require the approval of 51% of voters in order to pass. Ranked choice voting received the support of 51.02% of voters. However, at this time, there are still some absentee ballots that still need to be counted, and it's possible that those ballots could change the current numbers. If 51% have voted in favor, residents can expect to see more information in the next couple of months about how ranked choice voting will work for the city's 2021 elections. And a quick caveat here, all of those numbers are unofficial until the City Council has had an opportunity to canvass the elections. That'll happen on November 13th. And a couple of last observations on the election. First, congratulations to the members of our legislative delegation, Senators Franzen and Wickland, and Representatives Carlson, Elkins, and Howard. They were all re-elected, and in doing so, they appear to have won every one of their Bloomington precincts in the process. Congratulations also to each and every one of you who exercised your civic right to vote. And finally, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of the election judges who worked tirelessly under tricky circumstances to make this election work. Thanks also to the staff in our city clerk's office, and special thanks to Assistant City Manager Chris Wilson, who stepped up when she was needed most and did an outstanding job leading the voting efforts here in Bloomington. With the elections in mind, I thought it might be good this week to take a look at the numbers in our community survey results related to civic engagement and public participation. The survey asks about opportunities to participate in social events and activities, in community matters, and to volunteer. 63% of those surveyed rated opportunities to participate in social events and activities as excellent or good. In community matters, 64% responded favorably, and 69% said there are ample opportunities to volunteer. Now those are solid numbers, but each of those numbers are 4 points lower than 2019 and are equal to or close to the lowest positive responses in the 9-year history of the survey. I mean, it's certainly possible that the pandemic influenced this question, since we all know that this year there have been very few opportunities to volunteer or to socialize. Even if that's the case, it's concerning that these 3 questions have been in steady decline since peaking in the first year of the survey in 2012, when 80% said there were opportunities to volunteer and 73% saw opportunities to participate in social events and community matters. Now, when we go beyond the opportunities available and ask if people actually did do these things, we saw similar trends. People who said they'd volunteered in the past 12 months was at 30%. That's a 9-year low, and it's 10 points lower than the peak in 2013. Now, this is an area that I'm imagining we're going to spend some time trying to understand. When I think about all the people who volunteered to help out at BAA or Baja, or in any of the athletic organizations in town, or with their faith community, or with their school, it's hard for me to imagine that only 30% of our community members are volunteering. We need to look into that a bit more. Now, if you are in that category of people who are volunteering, thank you for what you do to strengthen our community. There is one area, voting, that scored right about where we expected it to register, with 78% saying they participated in the most recent local election. In even year elections, Bloomington turnout is regularly around 80% and consistently among the higher community participation rates in the metro area. Now, we don't have the voter turnout for this year's election yet, but I have no doubt it will be very high. So again, congratulations and thank you to every one of you who cast a ballot. Over the last couple of weeks, I've shared information with you about Hennepin County's plans to buy the Extended Stay America Hotel at Lyndale and American Boulevard to house homeless persons and to provide services during the pandemic. Last week, we learned that Hennepin County had decided not to buy the extended stay and was instead looking at other options. At this time, our understanding is that those options do not include buying any other property in Bloomington. So even though the City Council won't need to consider an application by Hennepin County for longer-term sheltering, our staff is continuing to move an ordinance amendment related to temporary pandemic housing. We're doing this because we know that sheltering the homeless in the Twin Cities metro region during a pandemic is going to continue for many months to come. As communities across the country grapple with the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, people experiencing homelessness face unique challenges. Here at the City of Bloomington, we're working to find ways to address the situation in a manner that preserves public safety and public health, and at the same time meets the human needs of people experiencing homelessness. The proposed ordinance defines a new interim use called temporary pandemic response housing, and it establishes review procedures and use standards, including requirements related to duration, licensing, security, management and operations, building and site requirements, and inspections. The intent of the proposed code amendments is to create a new use category to allow for the creation of temporary housing for individuals or families on an interim basis to reduce the transmission of disease during a pandemic. The Planning Commission will consider these amendments later this week, and it will ultimately come before the City Council. Stay tuned for more information on this. Well, that's a wrap on this week's Council Minute. Thanks much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Be well. Stay safe, Bloomington.